Awesome. So today, what is going to happen with Seaborn is that I'm not going to repeat plots that I've shown you in Matplotlib, like the yeast, the line plots, and all of that, because you can also plot those plots using Seaborn. I mean, the concept is all the same, so I'm not going to go repeating that again. So what I'm going to rather do is that there are some plots that you easily see them in Seaborn that you'll not find them in Matplotlib. So it will be easy to use Seaborn to plot those plots, to do those plots rather than using Matplotlib. So I'll just focus on those ones. And once we are done, so that we can now move into machine learning. So today I'm just going to look at a few other plots that we actually have in Seaborn that you may not, you'll find easy, it'll be easy to plot them on Seaborn compared to Matplotlib. So the first one is going to be a disk plot. Again, a disk plot, you're going to use a disk plot for univariate analysis. Univariate, like I said, is one variable. So let's see how it looks like. So you import Seaborn as SNS. If you don't have it, please just do pip install. So I'm just going to share the packages I have with you in the chat as usual. Then these are the packages we have. And then, so I'm just going to load my packages. The only thing I've added to this list is Seaborn with an alias name of SNS. So, and then again, there is this data set. If you know about, you people have heard about the famous Titanic story, right? About the ship sinking and people dying, blah, blah, blah. There's even a movie for it. So that particular data set about that ship is in Seaborn. So we are going to use sns.load underscore data set to load that data set. It's called Titanic. So I'm going to send you the code so that you can load it and follow along as we go. So if I run this, you're going to see that this is the data set. It has 891 rows with 15 columns. And you have survive, class, sex, age, a lot of things, fair, the number of persons paid, the amount you paid. Here you have who was male or female, adult, male, adult. There's a lot of data on it, whether you were traveling alone, whether the person died or the person did not die. So there's a lot on it, and we might want to use a disk plot to look at the age of the persons that were in this particular ship, in this particular data set. So it's just sns.diskplot, the name of the plot. So I'm going to share this again. And once you load it, you should be able to, then when we look at the plot, then we explain what the plot is talking about, because I'm talking about this plot, maybe you don't even know how it looks like. So let's plot it. Okay, so we're going to plot this plot now. And so if I run this, so you see how it looks like. It's a combination of a bar plot and a line plot, right? And so you already remember what we used to do, right? In Matplotlib. For you to be able to achieve this result in Matplotlib, you will have to merge these two plots. You have to use two different functions. You have to use the bar function, and then you have to use that's the plt.bar, right? And then you have to use the plt.plot function to be able to get this one, right? But here you just get it directly by just passing this plot, and you get these results directly using Seaborn. And so what has happened down here is that it has just grouped our data into, it has created a step size on its own, 0 to 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60. It's just grouped our data into groups, and then it returns a density, or you call it, it's actually represented as a density. But if you don't want to get a count of that information with that on the y-axis, right? So that's what this looks like. So this again is just a combination of the bar plot and the line graph, which we have been looking at. So I don't think there's so much to say here because the graph speaks for itself, right? So one last thing you can want to look at is if you come to these, you see that where's the column that says survive? Okay, you see here that survive 1 means yes and survive 0 means no, right? And so let's, that's the number of persons who survive. I just use that as n, and number of persons who did not survive. I use that as n. So what I'm just doing here is I said you're, because if I, okay, let me just return s so that you understand what I'm saying. I'm saying that I'm filtering out the number of persons who survived. Like I said, if I just come, let me, because this, I've written a lot of things here. If I just come here and I say df of survive, right? Oh, this is supposed to be what? df of survive. You already know how we section. If I return this, it's going to give me survived, not survived. If I return this, you see it returns a series. And that series represents this column for those who survived, right? This column like this. So I'm picking up only this column. Now, if I don't want all the values here, I want only the ones that pertain to 1. And I said 1 means yes, you survive, and 0 means no, you did not survive. So if I want to get only those people, I'm now going to say df of survive, and I said equal. You remember we said equal means is actually an expression of equality. Because if I just use equal to, it will be an assignment operator. We already have discussed this. So if I run this, you see it returns true, false, true, false, true, false, true, false. Now, if I want only the areas where there is true, okay, let's take the first 4, for example. Look at the first 4. False, true, 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 false. So let's look at it. False, true, 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 false, right? Because we said equal, 1. So the first one is false. Next 3 are true. The last one is false. Same thing we have here. False, true, true, false. But we only want those that are false, that are true, sorry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask. So I'm going to do df of, I want to convert this to a data frame. It's called masking. And if I run this, I return a data frame. That now shows only the records that are true. That's why we don't have any 0 here again. And you see, that means 342 persons actually survived in this out of 891, right? So now that's what I did here. So that's what I did here. And if I do 0, I'm doing the same thing. So that's what I've done. So that's why you have S being this. Okay, now, if I come down and then I want to look at the age of those that survived, again, you see that those that survived in this were in between the ages of 20 and 40. So on average, around 30. That was the age where most people survive, right? That's the kind of information you're trying to communicate on this plot. When you're just looking at it like this, you don't need anybody to tell you. And we can do that for those that did not survive. And you notice that again, in as much as those who survived were within that age, the majority of those that also died were also within that age, right? And it makes sense because even when you look at the general representation of the graph, when we did not split it up into survive and not survive, a majority of persons were within the ages of 20 to 40. And so it makes sense that mostly people in that age that were either dying or surviving, right? So that is what this is. And yep, that is about this plot. Maybe if you need some specific information, we might want to look at it, but for now, is there any question?
Good evening,
Yeah,
Prof.
yeah, yes.
This
Yes,
my question would be, what's the difference between this plot and his plot?
And his
This histogram plot and this plot. What does it mean? Distance
right.
plot.
Basically, if you were listening to me, when I started, I said for you to get this same kind of plot using PLT, which is what do we call it? Matplotlib, you will have to run two functions here to get this same plot. You have to use the bar plot, and you have to use the plot, the bar function and the plot function, because you cannot get this in one. But here I just did this plot, just this plot, and I didn't have to run, because if I want to achieve the same results, right? See, let me just do this for the sake of explanation. Did I implement matplotlib here? Okay, yeah.
Yes, I got that part.
Yeah. So if you're asking for the question, it's like doing the same thing in just one function rather than writing two different functions, because I said they'll communicate the same information. Because, for example, if I just do BR, sorry, if I do
Okay,
BRT
sir.
dot plot, let's see, because others may also be wondering. What was it? Was it ZF? Sorry, ZF of H, right? If I do this, let's see what we are going to get. Did I actually use H? What do I call it? I call it ZF. Did I change the naming? So you see what we get. Look at, right? There's even the grouping doesn't even make sense, right? Because it's like, what are you trying to do? Now let me do a bar plot again. Let me do BRT.bar so we can understand. And the truth is that plots in Matplot in Seaborn are more advanced than Matplotlib. Like, they actually make life simple. Let me finish with the bar plot so that you can see what I'm talking about. BRT.bar, I have to look for GF of each. Let's see what we get. So let me run this again. Oh shit. Missing one. Fire height. Oh yeah. This one should, let me use it's supposed to be a hist function. Is it a hist function? Hist. Okay. Look at this. It was the hist function. Now look at the hist function. The hist function actually plus x. But to be able to get this with the line, look at the way the the this function was able to summarize these across the different categories, and the visualization was quite clean compared to what we have. Just imagine that I took this graph. So okay, what I'm saying is that if I add this one on top of this one, just imagine how it's going to look like. Right? It's just going to be crazy stuff. Right? See, it doesn't give you a representation, right? But with this plot, you can get a clear view with the trends as is represented there. I don't know if this answers your question or it makes some clarity to you.
Yeah, it brings some clarity, but I'm just wondering that it's going to be deprecated. So this function, is it going away? This plot
Like,
seems like it's not
is it
supported
good?
from the warning signal, from the warning message above.
Oh, I didn't take away. This plot is depreciated function and will be removed in Seaborn version. That please adapt your code to either this plot. I think they are just changing the name. So you see here is dist plot. So they are adapting it to this plot.
Taking out the T. Okay, just
Yeah.
syntax.
Yeah. I didn't even notice that. Yeah. So next time, this is good for people who will be practicing, because if you come and run this and it doesn't work for you, just remove that T. Is that clear? Because maybe your version, I don't know, you have the version of Seaborn you'll be running on. Because I'm sure if you just installed your Seaborn today, it's highly possible that you are running on this one. And then if you use this, you're not going to see it. I don't know if it's clear.
Yeah,
Thanks for
it's clear.
picking this up, best man, because students were going to have issues with this once they do that. So if it doesn't work for you, please make sure to try it out. So what I'm saying is that this plot is more smart to give you information compared to trying to do it on two different plots or something like that. Okay, let's continue. The next one is a heat map. Yeah, this one is so common. Let me just first of all plot it, and then you see what it looks like, and then we take it from there, okay? Because this is the thing about this kind of plots, that if you don't know how it looks like, I might be speaking and you're thinking that I'm crazy. So let's just so you remember the tips data set, the one we had yesterday? Tips, the one about people giving out money. So let me have you load that data set for those who are following. So load the data set. I know you may have forgotten the function. Again, we call it tips. Now you see, the reason why I'm doing this, I don't know, maybe at times there are certain things I'll do and I don't communicate them because maybe it skipped my mind. I use different data sets so that you understand that different data sets would require different communication. It depends on what you want to communicate. And then because of you trying to communicate what you want to communicate, you find the best visual to communicate it. I don't know if you understood. Because you notice we can actually do one and the same thing with different plots. But the question is, which of these plots is best to communicate that kind of information? Which one actually just gives you the clear visualization? Because this, when we go to something like once we start doing Power BI for data visualization, you notice that even on Power BI, you can just begin to switch across graphs, right? Different charts. But the question is, which of these charts actually gives you a clear picture of what you want to communicate? That becomes a good visual, because like I told you the other day, the idea behind data visualization is that when somebody looks at your visual, the person should not ask a question. Even if the person doesn't want to ask a question, they should not be more than 2 to 3 questions. The person should be able to pick the information you are trying to communicate. So whatever you can do, that's why you notice there are a lot of things to customize on those plot functions, right? Those functions, you want to add color, you want to put, you have all those things to customize just to be able to make sure that the thing that you are trying to communicate in your data is well spelled out. So that when somebody looks at it immediately, the person can be able to pick that information. Please, this is the concept you should have in your head when you're visualizing data with charts. If this is not why you are doing it, then don't even go out there. Don't even waste your time. Because if you do a dashboard, like we'll see in the future, how we'll start developing dashboard after machine learning, I think that's what we're going to do now. After machine learning, we'll have a class for SQL. It's not going to be long before we go into data visualization. You notice that you're going to be seeing how we're creating dashboards with data, and you should be able to pull up information and communicate it effectively without people asking you questions. So let's see what the tips show. We remember this data set. So now, I want to do what we call a cross tabulation. A cross tabulation. Anyway, let me give you the results, and then you'll see what the cross tabulation looks like. Let me drop. This is because for you to best visualize a heat map, you need data in this form. Let me send this code out there. The function is in pandas. It's called cross tabulate. People must have heard the word. So let me just run this. For people who are coming from an Excel background, you know what, you know what a pivot table looks like.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if you have had some idea
Okay.
with Excel, this is what this is the same function. The pivot function, pivot table function in Excel, this is it. Is the cross tab in pandas. So you notice you say how many smokers were actually. So how do you interpret this? You say sex, how many smokers were female, were male, 60, how many were female, 33, how many non-smokers were male, 97, and how many were female. So this is actually a pivot table for those who have some idea with Excel. This is how pivot tables are drawn up. Or if you have R, if you are using the R, the table function in R, you run the table function in R, this is how it's, this is what it is. This is the output, right? So, but the table is quite clear. So now with this table, now we can now do an SNS.heatmap function, and then uh, we run on the cross tabulate, just the same thing, just annotation is equal to true. That's why annotation, ANNOT means true. So we want the label. So let me just run this and then we see what we have. So it's some way of, I mean, the visual acuity is good, right? You can be able to just look at this, look at this, look at this table, look at this table, and also look at this, right? And also look at this. It's like a duplicate. It's just like a copy of that table, but in a visual manner, right? The same information. Does it make sense? Males who smoke, yeah, 60. Males who don't smoke, 97. Females who don't smoke, 54. Females who smoke, 33. So like I said, depending on your use case, you would like to, you actually want to give a visual that captures the information you want to communicate in the most pleasant way. Just look at this. This is so cool. If somebody just look at this, unless the person has eye problems, the person should be able to see the information you are communicating here clearly, right? Okay. This is this. I don't know. Are there any questions for this one, for a heat map?
What's the maths behind this annotation table? This and tab cross tabulation. What's the maths behind it? Are they adding up the columns and the rows? What's the
So
mathematics behind it?
if you look carefully, this is a count because these variables are categorical, they are not numeric. So this is a count. Did you understand what I said?
Yes, sex and smokers.
Yes, these are categorical variables. So it cannot be a sum, it cannot be an average, it's definitely a count.
Counts. Okay. Because
You understand?
it's looking like a truth table. The counts, but I'm trying to like the heat map is showing that it's showing concentration.
It's just a copy of the same thing. And maybe it's just a replica of this, but with some with colorations. Look at this table. Just look at this table and look at the heat map.
Okay. Okay, I get it.
I don't know.
It's,
Yeah,
they
it's
just
just a
use the color
representation.
to
Yeah, it's just a
okay.
representation of the table in a visual manner, which is more appealing.
Okay.
The only thing that has added is this axis here. And then another thing about a heat map is that as you get more, the coloration becomes darker. That's why you notice it starts up here and it's lighter. As it's coming down, it gets darker, right?
Is that an attribute to change that color? I think there should be an attribute to change the
Yeah,
color.
if you do shift tab inside here,
Shift
you
tab.
can get, if you do shift tab inside here, we should be able to get as many options as possible, right?
Yeah. Visual max, visual minimum, CMAX. Yeah.
Yeah, you can decide to specialize all of these things, but you can just come down mean, float, optimal value for anchor the column map. Otherwise, they are inferred from the data and other keyword arguments. All of this, you can read these and see what you can tweak here, right? But we cannot go looking at each of these. There's a line color, all of that, line width, annotation. But it's always good. Annotation is set to none, but it's always good to set it to true because you want to see these things labeled so that you understand what you are doing.
Okay.
So yeah, you can tweak the parameters based on what you want. You can play around with them and you can actually come here and you begin to play around with the different parameters here and see what you get because they are actually clearly explained down here on what they are. So you can play around and you find something interesting, screenshot it and share in the group plus the code. That would be nice. That's what we do with the other batch, right? When they are practicing and they see something really interesting, they share in the group and others try it out. So the last but not the least graph we're going to be looking at is going to be the count plot. Again, it's used for univariate analysis of categorical variables, of course. It tells the frequency of each category, same as value count. You understand? It's the same as a value count. So let's just run this. Still on the tips table, you want to count how many females are there, how many males are there. And then, so if we run a value count and we get the index, it says females, if you get the values, get 157. I know you people know what I'm talking about. When I run this and put index here, I've explained this more a couple of times. I'm referring to this. When I say values, I'm referring to this. I took time the other day and explained it clearly. So there's nothing here to be worried about. So I want to do an SNS.count plot, and I am equating this to sex, and I'm so now if you notice here, I did not use df equals to sex. That's what I want you to notice because there is a parameter here that specifies the data set you are working from. I did not do this. I did not do df of sex. Oh, this time around, it's not df. It's supposed to be tips of sex. Sorry, tips of square bracket sex, right? Because that's what it's supposed to be. I did not do it because there is a parameter that asks you which data are you working on, and you specify the data and then specify the column. Is that clear? This is very clear here, as you can see it. So you don't have to doubt your code when you write it. So if you run this, see, it just gives you a representation. The same like where do we have this on the bar charts?
Yeah. So please share on the so I can also
Yeah,
run
so
at the
it's
same time.
the only thing I'll share is this part, right? The count plot, right? Because the other one is
Yeah.
then this here. Yeah. And so I don't know what I was trying to do here. Nothing. Okay. So these are just the additional plots I wanted to add to the ones we've already looked at. Trust me, guys, there are multiple plots out there. You understand? But within programming, these are the majority of ones you see because the reason why you even want to plot a graph using code is especially if you want to communicate your data. Like most of the times you go to some websites, you actually see graphs running there. They actually use code to plot those graphs, right? There are multiple graphs out there. Like one of the ones we'll see when we go to machine learning, we'll see that one. I didn't do it here because I will do it in machine learning. It's called word cloud. It's used for sentiment analysis, right? Word cloud. You're like, people can, like, people can make comments about the movie. Like one of the projects we'll do is people making projects and comments about the movie. and we are analyzing those comments to pick out which comment stands out, right? Which word stands out in the comment. Maybe, for example, we are looking for very good, bad, or not nice, those kind of things, right? We do a word cloud, and you put those comments in a word cloud, and you see the word that stands out will come out very very clear after we do what we have called, once we have removed all those, what do you call them? Some this kind of words like there is off. I've forgotten the name how we call them. So you clean it and you only end up with the real words like good, bad, movie, all those kind of things. Once you run that, you have a word cloud, and you see, you can actually be able to tell that, okay, a majority of persons said good, majority of said bad, kind of thing. We're going to see all of that once we are taking, no, not machine learning, it's deep learning, it's in deep learning. That way I want to do sentiment analysis, not in machine learning, please. Not this. I'm not going to confuse your brain. So that said, we're going to just leave it here for today, because we have to go into machine learning. That can only be in our next class. So this is going to be all for visualization. Like I said, there are more graphs out there. If you see a particular graph and you want to know how to plot it, the documentation for Seaborn and Matplotlib is online. Just go there. The concepts are going to be the same. The function and the parameters inside that you can tweak to get the kind of graph you want. And then you can look at the use case of the graph. Is it used for univariate analysis? Is it used for categorical variables? Is it used for numeric variables? All of these, you can always do the reference on your own and play around with it. And if you have something exciting, please just throw it in the group so that others can try out. So we are not going to do anything on visualization again. These are the basics that you need to be able to build up from there. If you see a particular visual and it's giving you trouble, okay, you can hit me up and we will get our hands dirty from there. And that officially brings us to the end of Core Python. There is one topic I've not taught in Core Python. It's called regex. I've not taught this topic called regex. It stands for regular expression. The reason why I didn't teach it is because we are going to do it in deep learning. So I didn't want to teach it here and teach it again in deep learning. So it's carried forward because it's normally going to come under Core Python. But the way we teach and you forget, if I teach it now and take it to deep learning, I'll have to repeat myself. So please, we are carrying regex to deep learning, and then we teach regex there, and then we also teach word cloud there. And I think so far, this foundation for Core Python, at least for data science, you should be able to effectively process your data and be able to send them. Now, the next thing is after you've processed your data and it's clean, and you've done all what you can do with your data, how do you get that data to a machine learning model, start training that model, and how does it work? That is going to be the next thing we're going to start with from our next class. Tuesday, yeah. Any question?
Hello. Good
Yes,
evening, sir.
please let me confirm who is talking, because that's I am Benito. Okay, Benito.
Yes, I just wanted to find out if it's possible you can give us some time, to grab some of these core Python concepts you're already done with before we move ahead. Say maybe the next week, which has to do with our two classes of the next week. I don't know if that is okay.
Let's get contributions from the others. It's not up to me. If you people say
Okay.
that's what they want, but I will not want to be the one to say it. Please come on mute and give your opinion about it. Oh yeah, talk now, my people. Maybe when I talk. Okay, let me stop the recording, please.
Sorry, I didn't get his comment.
Anita, please say what you said again.
Okay, my question was, is it possible that we can have this next week to, maybe go through the other courses